Vi starter lige om en 3-4 minutter, så I kan bare I er velkommen til at drikke lidt kaffe og spise lidt småkage. What is the title with the
I'm not head of that. First for media relations, I'm the PR. I'm the main PR guy. So we have a head of communication already, Mona.
But you're that outside of the...
Yeah, I'm doing it on top of I'm doing it on behalf of Jan. But it's something I do from within because we have more 50%.
That's fancy.
It doesn't mean that it's like it. It's just sometimes you're not prepared for something. It looks like there's the ginger spice coming.
Lasse, så du om døren var åben eller lukket dernede? Nej. Hmm? Okay. I think we'll just start. And then people can join. They go ask questions about things you just said.
Knock on the window.
And knock on the window and all that. Okay, lad os se at gå i gang. Let's begin. Welcome to the reality check Deutschland. I'm just gonna speak English because we have some guests from Germany, and my German is not good enough that I will speak German. So it's probably better with English, at least for me. But you're welcome, of course, once we get to all the questions that I hope you guys might have for our expert panel. You're welcome to ask questions in both German and English. Probably not Danish. So anyway, today we're gonna talk a little bit about Danish Vibes, what it is that we have to offer and what it's all about, why it's there, why we exist. And then I have one of the bands that are participating in Danish Vibes this year, Traveling Tribes. So they will speak a little bit about how they use the program or what they've gotten out of it so far. And then we have our German experts on the German market, and then we'll try to give you some kind of overview over the German market and kind of things that you need to consider. And hopefully after that, you'll have an idea about whether Danish Vibes is something for you and your band. And then you're welcome to apply. The application form, which is going to be online, we're just changing to a different software. It will be available from Thursday. We start Thursday morning. We should have the link ready, and I'll email the link to everyone who emailed me, and it will also be available through the Jazz Denmark, World Music Denmark, Rosa Folk website. Then you have until December 14th to finish your application, and then all the music will make it to the jury, and the jury will decide who's going to be part of Danish Vibes 2016. So already I've revealed that we have a jury. The jury is consisting of German booking agents, festivals, labels. It's a jury of 6 people. So they judge the music based on how they think you'll manage to have a chance of making some kind of breakthrough on the German scene or establishing a beginning career on the German scene. In general, Danish Vibes is a 1-year program. It's a lot about strategy. Then it's a lot about facilitating collaboration between Danish bands and German industry people, booking agents, labels, and so forth. And we believe that industry people is necessary in order to have a sustainable career in a country of 80 million people. Germany is the 3rd largest music market in the world. Also, another really special thing about Germany, you'll hear more about this later, but it is that CD sales are still around 60%. That means that if you go like, okay, I'm released worldwide because I'm on iTunes or Spotify or something, then it might not mean as much in Germany as in Sweden or other places where streaming is big, because in Germany CD sales are still very important, and so you might need a German distributor to make sure that your CD is actually available in the cities where you want to tour or whatever it is you want to do in Germany. So these things, so knowledge about the German scene becomes important. And so Danish Vibes is basically providing, helping you to make a strategy, providing information through some of our, through our network, basically people that we collaborate with. So you have a chance of getting an overview. And then the Danish Vibes program is a one-year program. It ends in a showcase where you perform for around 100 industry people in Hamburg. We consider that this is a stepping stone or the beginning of a German career. It's not unusual in music export programs that it can take up to 2 years before you actually see the results of your strategy. and then after that, it might take even longer until you establish a sustainable career. But the idea of collaborating with the German industry experts and taking this road is that you can actually create something that is sustainable and that has some kind of financial implication on your career. If you want to perform at, let's say, any Berlin venue with 60% of the door, you can easily do this on your own, and this is not something that Danish Vibes will help you with. We're looking for the big picture and a more sustainable way of having tours every time you release a CD and things like that. So it's a more long-term investment, you could say. Yeah, so that's basically what Danish Vibes is all about. This kind of this beginning of a long-term investment, and try to get you far enough that you continue to believe in your own strategy, that you continue to stay focused, and that's not just yourself, but that you keep your band focused as well, because these things are extremely important for booking agents and so forth, that it's not just about you, it's also about everyone else in your band that are committed to travel this road. And also, you could say, well, there's many things to be said, but one thing is that a booking agent is a person that almost any Danish band is looking for a booking agent, and they have all kinds of ideas about what a booking agent is and what they do. This is all good, but it's also about that we don't have so many booking agents for jazz and world and folk music in Denmark, inside Denmark. Hopefully we'll get more in the future, but anyway, so let me just refer to that. A booking agent is in Germany can be equally famous to a musician. If you are a really successful booking agent, you are kind of having a major career, and you can break through of your booking agent. You can break out of the company that hired you to begin with and establish an even bigger company and so on. And so that means that if you call a booking agent and just say, okay, I play 70 shows in Denmark per year, maybe you could book me in Germany or so. It's not really how you would approach a high-profile person with a great career running already. And so this is also part of the Danish Vibes knowledge base, that you're actually calling up a person who is financing his own life, his family, and so on, through doing bookings. So he might not be so interested in starting from scratch, or he might not be so interested in taking in a band that he's never heard of. He has no clue what the band has been doing so far. And so a big part of Danish Vibes is to establish a network. So you might have a strategy of getting to this booking agent, but it might actually take you a year until you know this person and can start to work with this person, because you have a personal relation, because he probably won't answer your emails or be extremely happy about your phone call or so if he never met you before in person. And this is also an aspect of trying to support this meeting between Danish bands. And so if you so things that you can use Danish Vibes for is basically in a metaphorically speaking, helping your own engine and helping the engine of German industry people that actually wants to help you. So it could easily be that you are calling Danish Vibes for, we would like to make a video. We have this guy already in Germany, or we have this label in Germany that are calling for us to make some videos. How can we work with this? And we'll help maybe financing or partly financing projects like that. Or it can be like, I want to have dinner with this booking agent before our show in Berlin, and how can we somehow get this booking agent to show up, and we help financing that, things like that. It can also be a German booking agent calling Danish Vibes, saying, I would like to present some Danish music, and it could be in relation to Danish Vibes and the bands that has been selected already, and we'll help that. So that's kind of how we facilitate this collaboration, and this collaboration is the most important part of Danish Vibes to make this happen. It's more important than or things that we do not do. Just to get that out of the way, is that we don't call up venues and book gigs for and things like that. We are not Danish Vibes. It's not a booking agent. Danish Vibes is a strategy, and it's a facilitator to collaboration. During the 1 year Danish Vibes program, you'll also be part of industry gatherings like Jazz Ahead, Spot, Rosa Folk, Spot Folk, where you have a chance of meeting industry people. It's also a good way to do a little bit of training, maybe showcase training, because we don't have so many showcase situations here in Denmark. So if you're at the Jazz Ahead showcase, then it's a good way to either meet a lot of industry people, do a professional and convincing showcase. It can also be a way of doing a bit of training. So your showcase will be more efficient once you get to the major showcase ending the Danish Vibes, which is in Hamburg, and which is for around approximately 100 industry people. And a showcase is a very special situation, because usually the booking agents in the middle of your show will start talking to each other about how are things going, and how do you like this band, and are you looking for something like this right now, or what is your profile, blah, 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 blah. They have tons of things to talk about. They haven't seen each other since Jazz Ahead or since Spot or whatever. So in this way, you're kind of performing to people who is all over the place and commenting on your band while your band is playing and so forth. So it's a good idea to have a bit of showcase training, so you're not so you don't get don't get nervous or distressed, or don't cry on stage, or things like that. So we do that. A part of your strategy is also going to be a showcase strategy, and it's also going to be training in performance. So you can basically deliver a performance pretty much no matter what kind of situation you're in, because that's pretty much what a showcase is. Also, in a showcase, you have 20 minutes to convince these people that you are the next assignment. So that's what Danish Vibes is, and I hope, of course, that you'll all apply. 5 bands will be selected. And what else do I need to say about Danish Vibes? If you get selected, there'll be a seminar February 11th and 12th, and a minimum of 2 persons from your band will have to be able to make this seminar, because that's where you get all the inside info that we have learned over the last 3 years.
Are those all day, 11th and 12th?
It's from 10 to 3 p.m. You can also send a manager, if you have a manager, or your record label things like that, but it needs to be a person very closely related to the bands, because one of the days you're doing the strategy and you're going to follow this strategy for a year. Everyone in your band will follow this strategy as well. So it's a quite important seminar.
This is a weekend.
No,
It's a Thursday, Friday.
Okay, we're working on this.
Well,
I'm not sure that today though.
well, unless you're on the road to Sweden.
but yeah, but that's how it is. It's we had many discussions. Of course, first of all, it's because we can't do the doodle to figure this out, because we have so many people coming in to give lectures. That's the first thing, and then the other thing was basically several meetings with Carsten Janke, one of the major bookers of Germany, which led to basically he was like he made the statement, I cannot work with artists who have a side job. And I was trying to say that, of course, no Danish artists have a side job. They are all working full-time, only playing concerts and tours.
That's what I meant.
That's what you meant?
Yeah.
Touring?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
I didn't, yeah.
Okay, you didn't refer to teaching or?
No.
Okay, good. Well, that's perfect. So, yeah. So basically, we just decided to put down some dates and say, okay, this kind of reflects what you would get from a booking agent. It's going to be like, okay, I have festivals these days.
I wasn't trying to create a problem.
Okay.
That's what Carsten said.
That's what he said.
We have to fire all American bands from our roster because
yeah.
yeah.
Pizza Hut.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, any questions directly related to what I just said? Yeah.
What do you mean when you say showcase training?
Showcase training is basically just performance training. So in a way where you, I mean, you might have it all. You might already be able to do it. It's just sometimes for some people, if you're a sensible jazz trio or something like that, it might be very disturbing that people are actually talking around you, and oftentimes they're talking about you, right around you. And if you are like an acoustic jazz trio or something, you can actually hear your name being said and things like that. And you just have to continue and give it your most. Give it your best, and
you cannot expect to kind of build up attention for an open hour that kind of explodes in the last song. You just have to make it more concise.
Yeah.
For Danish Vibes, this year was 20 minutes for the showcase, and then you have to perform in these 20 minutes. So you delegates so you can see what this band is about and just play just the best songs and not just like.
Anything else?
Within the application process, are you looking for people that may already have some connections to Germany, or those that don't have any connections, or?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you already have some connections. Great. If it's people that you want to continue to work with, then we'll aim for that, and that will be part of your strategy.
Well,
if you
more of like if you have a connection, like in my case, I'm doing guest artists things like for about a month worth of work next year with various German artists.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's not necessarily connections directly with bookers, but it's the different bands that have in various venues. So how do you build on that so that way my trio could be the next thing to come in?
Yeah, it's built into the strategy. So it's mainly made by, so I'm not going to overrule your strategy and say I think it's what I think is best for you, but it's like the strategy is made together with Rasmus Stolberg.
But is that part of the application to say like what your experience is or not? So it's just basically based on.
There's room in the application to say it.
Okay.
And it might be there's also room in the application to say what motivates you towards the German market, and that could be part of it as well. Could be part of your motivation to sort of collaborate in that way. But it's but you decide. It could also be we also had bands that already had some German booking but wanted to see if they could get to a higher level or things like that. So it's up to you in a way.
How is this part of the selection criteria in terms of who actually selects the bands to participate? is it the German panel that specifically choose? Oh, is the only one that decides which bands are going to participate, or the Danish organization is also a part of that process?
The jury decides based on they give points and comments
On music.
on the music, and they
Not
prefer.
in relation to Germany.
What's that?
Not on the relation to Germany.
It's a German jury.
I understand that, but I'm saying, as you were explaining, that you can state specifically, I have a label in Germany already. Or I'm interested in continuing work on these aspects and so on.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that the judgment of which bands are going to take part is only based on the music. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So, if I get it right, so what will sell? The music that will sell?
The music that will sell.
Big things about or about what people like.
I think it's probably a common denominator. You know, if you have a jury that's kind of knows the German market, they might kind of be relating to what would probably what is about to happen, or if it's not going to happen. If it's kind of what's the word? If it's kind of relevant to the German market, it's in this kind of way, yes. But it's not. It not has to be overly pop, so that kind of everybody's going crazy over sales figures, potential sales figures. That's not the case. It's just they see what probably might relate to them, or what would they could imagine working with.
Yeah, and you could also say there's so many more people than in Denmark, so I mean, niche is bigger, so it's hard to say, okay, what will sell? Instead, there's a lot of things that can actually sell. There's a lot of boogie woogie festivals. I mean, that's a kind of niche, right? We don't have that in Denmark, and you know, so it's so.
Boogie festival.
What is a boogie woogie festival?
This is why Copenhagen is still beautiful. Germany got bombed. You know, it's like this.
It's a piano style.
Yeah.
Oh right. So
Where you can be famous boogie woogie pianist in Germany. I mean, yeah, and many other things. But yeah, so it's kind of hard to sit in Denmark and say what can sell. It's more or less up to the jury what they can see. But there are festivals for anything, and so they'll make their own judgment. So it's not what can sell in a Danish term. The jury also know that they're part of Jazz Denmark, World Music Denmark, and also Folk. That these are the organizations, so they're not, you know, they also consider that. They're not necessarily looking for stadium bands or anything like that. More questions? Yes?
I was rather thinking, could you elaborate more on how the program works out? Like, because you say one comes itself for a year, and I'm thinking, you know, I think most of us have family and stuff. Is it that you have to move to Germany and work with them years or whatever for a whole year, or how does it work out?
Yeah, no, you don't have to move to Germany, not right away. But yeah, how does it work? It works on the strategy. The strategy is the central part of Danish Vibes, and the strategy is what runs for a year. So strategy is your set of goals of what is the next level from where my band is standing right now. There's a jury that has pointed towards my band and said like, okay, this band could probably build up a sustainable career in Germany. And then, okay, so we'll take the first step, and that strategy runs for a year. So you'll be in Denmark, and it might not be, you'll still have time to have your family and your job and everything.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that when, let's say, you're big to be in bands, does that mean that you commit yourself to just the German industry, or?
That means that basically what it means is that if the booking agent can see, let's say you are getting some kind of personal connection with a booking agent, and you're looking for a booking agent, of course. So if the booking agent can see, okay, this would be great for your band to perform these 3 venues, it pays, I don't know what, 90 euro per musician, and then your band are people not working under the Danish tariff or something like that, then of course you have a problem. If your band cannot see your strategy, that it might end up better than that, but you have to start at that point. So that's kind of the that's what it is about the focus and what the strategy is. That everyone, once you put your strategy, or either you bring your band, make a strategy together with your band, or you make a strategy and you tell the band, this is what I want you guys to commit to if you want to be in my band now that we're heading towards Germany. And so they have to kind of be committed to that, because things just works differently. Because the reason why we have a tariff or a minimum wage in Denmark is because the Danish government is involved in the Danish scene. So we basically created a market within the market. So once you go onto a market that is a real market, then it might work differently. It starts lower, it ends higher. Great. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Otherwise you can come back later as well. I think I'll give the word to Anders from Traveling Tribes that are visiting us today. Traveling Tribes is part of the Danish Vibes, and I just told Anders he's free to say anything he wants about the experience.
Really?
Really? So, Anders.
All right. So the thing for our band, first and foremost, that this project has benefited is that it's given us a focus, like a common focus. So during the year, we all had this common goal of we want to do something in German, and that's the main thing. And then there were like several more specific goals we had, but the main thing was that we wanted to play in Germany, and we agreed on that's what we want to do for the next year, basically. So we didn't we had something going on in Denmark, but that was going on with the Danish booker, and then the rest of the energy we had, we put it into like doing something in Germany. And then specifically, Danish Vibes helped us do some things that we thought was important. For example, we knew that it was important to have some videos, so we had some videos done in Denmark, but then we went to Germany in April or something like that, and then we had a video done there with a German film guy we knew, and just to have something for the Spot Festival where we played. And then we went to Germany in September again, I think, and then Danish Vibes helped us finance that, so it's possible. So we decided that we wanted to do some small tours in Germany up to the showcase here in November, and just to let, we were really looking for a booker. That was like our main thing. So we wanted to show these different bookers that we were actually serious about going to Germany. So we went there a couple of times before the showcase. And then then we played this showcase a couple of days ago, last Thursday. And then it actually we actually got a booker there. So it worked. It's great program. No, but it was actually, so it kind of worked because I think we were really focused on it, and that's maybe an important thing, that if you spend a lot of energy on it, for us it's been really good, but if you don't really have so much time and energy, there's no one really to help you. You have to help yourself, but then Danish Vibes can also. But there's we're really interested in having a booker, and we got in contact with a booker. We're flying down to meet now, and then we also got in contact with some festivals because we want to play in Germany, and a sync lady, someone who can pitch our music for films,
And then there's all these different things going on the side, which is like a, what do you call it, like something that comes out of what you want to do. Like there was this guy in England who wants to sign our band because he saw us in that Spot Festival. So that was just a coincidence. So yeah, but a really good thing is that you as a band you have like a common focus, which is I think is really good for this thing. You get
Who set up the tours for you? The tours you did before?
Some of it we did ourselves, which were like 1 or 2 days, and then this last tour we did that in connection with the booker we wrote, who we wrote together, and then he put up 1 gig in Leipzig, and then we talked to another booker. He put up 2 gigs, which were kind of like people that we didn't know if we wanted to collaborate with, but this was kind of like a starting point.
And the contact to those bookers in those places, was that through with the help from Danish Vibes?
No. One of them was because one of the guys in the band knew him in advance, and the other one was just simply because we wrote to him, and he turned back and said, "Yeah, it would be nice to meet, and let me put up this job for you."
So what has Danish Vibes been like? What have they been doing for you to get something in your hand? What has their conclusion been? Do you think?
There's been some concrete things with helping with money for the film, but then this showcase thing in Hamburg, which was really like, and that's what I think that's what they can do. They can put all these different people together, which are kind of really interesting, and then you can meet these people, and that's where we met this booking agency that we hopefully were to collaborate with.
But the only networking place where you met where they had a finger into the play, there was this 26.
Yeah, and then the Spot Festival.
And then okay.
Yeah.
And just for the bands who are part of Danish Vibes, we provide a database, so where all the participants of the showcase on the delegate side are like writing email address, so you can start networking before the showcase starts. So you can just like, "Hi, this is my band, we're playing there. Would be nice to meet because we're searching for a booking agent or we're searching for a label." So it's not only happening on that night, so you can also start before and after that, of course.
It already started for us at Spot Festival, I think. And then there's another thing is that the friend helps writing a German press, which is really nice. Because no, but it's really I think it's a huge benefit that you can get in contact with people in their native tongue instead of like writing in English and stuff like that. You can have a really nice press release in German.
I have a question to you. These labels and all the managers we found, are they considered as a jazz manager, like booking jazz mostly?
No, the ones we were looking for are actually mostly booking world music.
So are you considering your band also more world or jazz?
We're considering it music, actually, and maybe that's a problem for us, but we've kind of insisted on doing that. And that's another thing. Was that?
Yeah, I just wanted to push.
Yeah, but then again, I just might just jump into that here because I work for a booking agency, and I worked for the booking agency in 22 years. So it's never that you rely on one genre alone. You have to be all over the shop. We just do hip hop shows. We just do kind of rock shows. We do jazz. Of course, Carsten, my boss, he's a big jazz fan. He's gonna die for jazz because that's all he ever listens to. But he also can like a good rock show. He also likes the John Spencer Blues Explosion, for instance. So it's never solely one genre that you're addicted to. You just don't have to find the world music booker or kind of it really depends on what you want to do. If you just want to play all the bombixes around the world, then probably this maybe one. But then again, it's always like it's a bit more widespread. kind of what the normal agencies do, if that helps.
You mentioned the Spot Festival, so if you're accepted to Danish Vibes, do you then also get the showcase at the Spot Festival?
If you are selected as a World Music Denmark band.
And otherwise,
Otherwise, no. But then if you are selected as a Jazz Denmark band, then you're probably at the Jazz Ahead showcasing there. If you're selected as a folk band, you will be at Tønder Folk. Tønder, what is it called? Spot Folk. Folk Spot. Thank you. Folk Spot. Then you're there. So either way, it's about meeting industry people at one of these settings that are already existing, so we don't have to build it from scratch like we do with the end showcase. Yes.
So when you apply, you have to tell yourself if you're applying as a folk or yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to choose the categories.
Yeah.
So you said looking for a booking agent as part of your strategy. Was anything else part of your strategy in finding a booking agent? Placing your music in movies, you said?
Yeah, that was.
So those were the two things that you kept up. And how did you approach finding somebody to help you place your music in movies?
We just that was actually we used the lists a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we as for pop-up records that I'm working for, we take care of the invitation of the German media partners. And like this year we had around nearly 100 who confirmed to come. And then of course we try to cover all the fields that could be interesting for the bands. Next to that, we ask the bands just send us people you know or companies you would love to meet at the showcase, and we try to invite them. And like I think you talked to Pia Hoffmann. Yeah, so she's taking care of the Zinc company and. Yeah.
So do you introduce the artist?
Yes.
And the,
if you ask for it, we will of course help. Just like finding people at Motor Club somewhere in the dark. Yeah.
Because it's impossible to see who is who. Right?
Who is who, of course, yeah. But we have with that, and the delegates have really big name tags. So it's actually looks like it also has.
Yeah. So maybe Anders, before you, I promised Anders that he could leave early because of his kids. But before you leave us, maybe you could just give just a little bit about the meetings with Rasmus Stolberg and the strategy work and things like that. Could you say something about being part of that?
Yeah, it's you kind of like you talk with your band about what you want to do, which like what is your goal? It's just like dreaming. What are your dreams? Which is great, and you don't often enough do that, I think. So it was really good for us just to sit down and just dream, and then Rasmus came up with like ways of like focusing those dreams, and like in which order should you try to follow through this dream. I think that's basically what he does. But the other thing he does, which I think is really good and which has also been a good experience for me, is that you really have to find your own way, which I think is very important. Like for example, Søren insisted on. I was on the showcase on Thursday, and I had to give a little speech about what is Traveling Tribes. Like do that in 30 seconds, and then he was like, "You have to tell them that you want a prize. You have to tell them." And I'm like, "But I don't really want to collaborate with people who thinks it's really important that you have a prize and you say that constantly. I want to collaborate with people that thinks other things are important." So it wasn't really so important for me to say that, but it's taken me some time to find my way in that way. But I think it's important, and I think Rasmus does a lot. He emphasizes that a lot. I think that's great. Pretty good thing.
Of course, a prize would give you an instant green card. I'm just saying, instant green card.
If you would just have mentioned it.
If you would just have mentioned it. Well, that's fine. Okay, Anders. Any questions specifically for Anders? Otherwise, we'll let him go. Yes.
So what were some of you mention to Rasmus when you sat down? What did you tell him our dream is to do? Find a booking agent? Probably not. What were some of your dreams?
There were two things. The one thing was we wanted to play more in German, just two more, because it's a great place to play, I think. And the other thing was that we want to do these larger installation concerts where we collaborate with different artists. And just how is that possible? And that was
what did he say to that?
He said a lot of things.
Okay.
Not really. I don't think it's not so interesting to hear what he said. But he's really good at like facilitating, like how do you concretely do that.
Okay.
Yeah, really cool guy.
A strategy is specifically for your own band. So it's not really, he's not going to say anything general. There are no general recipe for getting a booking agent or anything like that. So if your dream is, I want to get a booking agent, then a strategist would say, yeah, who's your dream booking agent? How do you get to that person? Maybe like Chris Brody, you join the yoga club of Sting, and then a year down the road, you're the trumpet player of Sting's band. Maybe that was your strategy. A strategy is an individual thing. And so, yeah. So I think the most important thing in what Anders is saying is about the focus. What happens to a strategy when everyone really starts to focus on it in a band? That might be where it starts to become true. If I should do a motivational speech or something, I would say that. But I think it's one of the most important things about Danish Vibes is like, how do we keep people on track? Because then things start to happen.
Because when you have bands, I know that from my personal perspective, there is a kind of psychological chemistry inside of that. And sometimes, if you're like the guitarist manager, you become like the unperson of the band because he's telling us off again. Yeah, we should be on time. So you become like of the dictator of the band against your own will. So it always helps a lot if somebody from the outside takes that part and just has a kind of neutral point of view without coming from the inners of the band. So it's very, very good to have that outside view, and that can help everybody focus because it's not one person wanting you to fulfill his dream, like the guitarist wants to be big, so we don't just have to follow to make him look good, but the whole band is in that. And this is kind of the important way of understanding that you just have, that you're all together in that, and it's your own kind of game you're playing. And I think this is very, very important thing, and it's always super helpful. It's probably like a psychological help, like in couples or something. If somebody from the outside is taking a stance, it's basically it is. It's like having a relationship with four people at the same time, right. And or even more. But the thing is, it's very important that there's some outside focus, because that kind of takes the pressure from inside the group. Either you hate that guy because then he's telling you all wrong, but it's then you probably will force a bond in the band even more instead of kind of blowing it up from the inside. Maybe this is a couple of some thoughts you just have to get kind of familiar with.
All right. Thank you, Anders. Thanks for dropping by the meeting.
Sure.
And congratulations on the booking. Okay, so now you already heard a little bit from my experts, but I would like to introduce them formally. And then we'll talk. You can still ask questions about Danish Vibes, of course, but let's switch to the German market a little bit, give us some insights. So from Pop-Up Records, that works with the industry people for Danish Vibes, we have Arne. And from Janke and Reeperbahn Festival, we have Fren. And we'll start on just some general views of the German scene.
Well, that's a difficult one. A general view. It's I think what Uzona already mentioned. I think Fren can talk a bit more about the live scene because he's working for a booking agency. What Zoe mentioned is that still the record sales in Germany are still like 60%. So it's still a very physical market, and people love like physical products. Also the media, like the print magazines. It's not like you can only work with digital sampling. Of course it works, but you need a product. It's kind of a door opener for the market. It helps the booking agencies, just like can see that there's something happening. Here's the CD, like the new one, the new record. We can start to work with and build a career or profile of a band.
It's a sign of dedication, probably, you know, to see that somebody actually makes the effort to record an album, just decides on the artwork and putting the whole energy into that. That kind of translates into what it's going to be like, because you're not going to do that when you're just not serious about it. So that's probably why it's still important for magazines, for kind of online reviewers, for everybody in the media, that you just put out something. Although I know it's 2015 and it's probably kind of weird that it is still that way, but nevertheless, it's been that way since, say, forever. And even when the digital revolution was about to take place, everybody was still asking for
or even vinyls.
Yeah.
But I think a really different thing in comparison to Denmark is that Germany is a very open market. It's not like bands from all over the world want to come to Germany, want to play shows there, want to release a record, want to get a license deal, want to be on films,
and advertising,
all that stuff. So there's a big competition. There's when it comes to book shows, when it comes to get placements at magazines. So because there are so many bands, it's kind of there are tons of releases every week from bands from all over the world.
Plus, there is what hasn't been happening since a couple of years, since forever actually, because Germany has been kind of a playground from all countries outside of Germany. It used to be like, if you have an American band that's going to be big, it's very likely that it was going to be big in Germany as well, or from the UK. That changed a bit because the Germans kind of reenacted their inner market. So what happened? There was one article in the newspaper like 3 months ago that the top 10 of the German album sales all have been, it was kind of solely on German artists, and that's never been happening like since years. So it's a development from being a very recipient country from outside culture, and now the German market started to cater for its own. So you just have, and it's still very open. You still have, you know, like albums from bands from all over the world. But then again, there's so many music and so much music and so many artists trying to fighting for the same kind of spaces in clubs and the slots and the showcase festivals and whatnot. There's kind of a lot of pressure, and on the other hand, it's very hard to kind of decide as an agent or as a talent buyer or as a promoter who's going to be the next thing. What is this band that's going for a breakthrough? So you just have to rely on if the music says something to you or not. That's still the thing. It's still a people's business, despite being digital and whatnot. It's still that people know people and talk to people about certain bands. And this is kind of still the basic approach. It sounds like caveman business, but in the end, you know, it's not that far from it.
There's no master plan. You can't say, if I have a band sounding like this, you have to do this, that, and then it's working. So it's what Fren says is, if you have a feeling about a band, like it's just your feeling. You can talk about it, start the networking from that point on, and hopefully it works out in the end.
So are festivals booking more, like a larger percentage, like say the Open Jazz Festival in Stuttgart? Are they doing like a larger percentage now of more local artists, and then the international community is getting smaller, or how is that?
Yeah, we just have to kind of relativate that a bit. It's the chart thing. It's basically mostly based on pop music or indie rock music or something. It's not entirely. It doesn't really cut for the jazz market. It's mostly the pop
the pop market that I'm talking about. But then again, it affects in every way, yeah, the other markets as well. But jazz is still a niche. It's still something. It probably helps, you know, in lots of ways to be playing for a certain audience or kind of having in mind a certain audience. Whereas when you're just trying to get the public, it's probably a bit more difficult, especially within a certain genre. That's of course, yeah. But it's yeah, it really depends on what the festivals are focused on, and so it doesn't say that as Reeperbahn Festival that I work with is not entirely booking like a certain percentage of more German acts. I know the two booking guys who are kind of doing the festival, and they're mostly going for what they can see, and then they get lots of pressures from the outside, from international agents who want to place bands that are kind of in their favor to kind of crack the German market. Then you have, then it all kind of, yeah, it's like you have this kind of big blow up from the outside, and it really translates in all the little bits and pieces what will happen. So, for instance, you have a band from America, and they have an English agent who kind of works with a German promoter, and that promoter and the band is kind of getting more and more attention. So the impact this band is about to create is much bigger than, say, a German band nobody knows, of course. So it all really depends on what kind of backup you have. But this is kind of talking the big international picture. We're not kind of, we're talking about Denmark and Germany. And the basic part is that the German audiences they have a sweet spot for everything Scandinavian, be it like furniture design and also the music, because what I noticed is that there's always, no matter how melancholic or kind of Scandinavian colored the music might be, there's always something that kind of the German audience can relate to. There's some accessibility that it's not, it's kind of, yeah, it kind of connects. Like the Cutie Mangoes, for instance, they played Nochspeicher on Reeperbahn Festival on a Friday night, which is probably, you have so much competition on that particular spot, and the place was still packed. So there is something that's kind of connects. So it doesn't entirely mean, so but you couldn't have guessed it before. So this is the band just kind of stuck to their goals and focused on what they want to do, and they just, you know, like keep going. That's basically the strategic part that you can learn. Plus, what's also important is the German market is kind of big, but it's flooded in lots of ways. Not only from within, but also from the outside. Because what does a band do from, say, Minnesota? They all have to make a statement to be seen and heard, and they all want to play, to be able to sell CDs, because there's so many products on the market that the magazines cannot even dream of kind of getting a whole picture to the readers or to the viewers or whatever, or the listeners. So there always has to be a selection, and nevertheless, you don't have to pack it in if you're not in that selection. You just have to find different ways around it to kind of be heard, or just be more persistent doing that. It doesn't mean that if Intro says, yeah, we're not covering that band because it's not kind of fitting into the June issue or whatever the album comes out, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get anywhere. It just might not for this album, but you can still get an audience. Just like you have to find ways, because it's the problem bands on an international scale share with every band in the world, even with German bands, to be heard, to get noticed. That's the hardest task these days, and this is what the booking agent's problem is. You know, I've been to a lot of festivals, showcase festivals, to be honest, all over the world, be it New York, be it Austin, be it England or whatnot, and still working for a showcase festival as well. So you know, from certain export bureaus, you have bands like Time from the Netherlands. They're brought in from Music The Hague. I saw them, I think, 3 years ago, and they're still playing that showcase festival circuit. Now things starting to fall into place for them. Now they play a tour on their own, like 5 dates in Germany, and it really kind of it takes time. It's just not something you can do within half a year or something. Just, yeah, Danish Vibes, we're in, and now we have a booker, and we just can, like quit the day jobs and whatnot. It is a thing
It's
of
a long-term step.
Yeah. And it really helps, like what I said, it really helps if somebody from the outside is helping you with the strategy, because this is what you really need. If you just kind of, if the whole band cracks at the first kind of hurdle, then there's something wrong. You just have to kind of be persistent, and you just have to believe in things. You just have to work on it. And if there's a hurdle, you just find a way around it. You just, if you don't make it, if this way doesn't work, you go this way. So this is kind of the strategy you need. And nevertheless, Germany is a big country. You have tons of clubs, but the other thing is you have to get an idea of what is the club for your music. You can be at the right place, but in the wrong club, and it doesn't help you a lot. So if you play an indie party as a world music band, might happen, but might also not, or very likely not. So you just have to get an idea of the whole map of the German market, and what kind of are the places you need to go, and what are the clubs that you probably might dream about, like when there was the Atomic Cafe in Munich closed down 1 year ago. But that was like when every indie band, they said, yeah, one day we're going to play the Atomic Cafe. And yeah, I happened to play it like 10 times. But this is kind of what you have to get an idea. Like when in Munich, you just have to have this club. And then when you play in Cologne, you have to play this club. And then you just, all of a sudden, you just have a market. And you see, yeah, we haven't played there because we don't know the booker there. So you set up your own little map of Germany, and you can try to kind of find your ways to get a support show, then play a show the next day on your own. There's some club in Berlin. Then you play in Dresden the next day as a support, whatnot. It's just like, you just have to find your own way, kind of tailor-made, that kind of works for your band. And there's no kind of general way where everybody kind of like a ball that you put on a little street and it rolls. You just have to find your own particular way. So.
Could you just explain the contradictory, because on one hand you say that the German market is an open market and is openly invited for all genres and from all countries and so on. But on the other hand, you say also that the Germans choose the Germans.
No, that's not.
Why would they choose me as a Balkan beat artist if you have 20 other Balkan beat artists?
We have Balkan beat parties in Germany, and they go apeshit over there. That's not the thing. Okay. What I'm saying is that whereas Germany used to be a market that mainly kind of took its influences from the outside, like what I said, American indie band, getting places in America, very likely due to the landscape of the magazines and spreading of information, they all were very likely to make it in Germany as well. But that changed a bit due to the fact that no magazine in the world is able to kind of have a full-on landscape ready for the listeners or viewers or readers. It's just too much music and too many artists, so they just have to put on the filter. And nevertheless, if you so what the initial point was is that this kind of natural correlation we had, like Minnesota artists getting places in America will go places in Germany, is not necessarily happening as easily as before. So that's the main thing. The market is still open, but it's not like a safe bet that your band will make it. This is just, that's what I'm saying. You just have to work on it on several levels.
Like at the end of the day, it's like the quality that's the most important, and of course, kind of what's behind this quality of the band. Like if magazines just see, okay, there's a tour come up, there's something happened like in Denmark in your home country before, then they might be a bit more interested than just like pushing one act which will just stop playing music after the record is out. So they just, sometimes it helps if they can already see that there's something behind this particular band.
Plus, Spot Festival is very popular with German bookers and talent buyers as well. So they just have an eye on that. You're a skeptic? What's you? Yeah.
I was trying to smile.
I'm thinking rather, where's the catch? I mean, what's in for you? Obviously, we're all artists know that, you know, something, you have to do something for something. So I'm trying to read in between the lines, but, you know, where is your profit in all this?
Oh, the profit, it's, yeah, sometimes it's not easy because we just have to, for instance, if we have one phenomenon that's funny. We just have two guys from Orlando called Jack and Jack. They're a big kind of social media phenomenon in the US, and we're doing the first tour of them for Germany. What I'm saying is, it was just a lucky shot. We just tried out if it could work. Of course, they play like 4,000 or 5,000 capacity venues in their home country, and we just started out with like 1,000 capacity venues for here. And funnily enough, it works out nicely. We couldn't have guessed that before. Same goes for Kamasi Washington. Everybody knows. You know, you just put that record on the market, and everybody's writing about it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the concert halls are flooded, because it is kind of what we say. If you get a hype, there's always asking for relativity in that hype. You know, you just put it on the market and see how much the hype is really worth. You know, there might be a lot of press darlings, whereas they don't find their audience, and this is the point. You just have to find your audience as a band, and then you're interesting for a booking agent to see like they got something going. And if we just put some oil into the fire, it might translate into growing to a bigger flame. This is what we as an agency. And what we also see is, yeah, we have to like the music. We have to see something in it. You know, some bands, especially when you're like me, going to kind of showcase festivals, you see a lot of tryhards that really try to desperately win you over in lots of ways. Like, yeah, we're professional. We got the tunes, and this could be played on radio, and that doesn't really necessarily translate to the agent in signing a band. Because if you want to see something, it has to be kind of original. It has to be something that doesn't want to be like the next big artist that you're kind of like the next Kamasi Washington, because we have Kamasi Washington, to put it this way, or the next Gregory Porter, because we've already signed Gregory Porter. And that is kind of, you get the idea. We want something that kind of stands on its own. Like when we saw Esbjørn Svensson, like 15 years ago, Carsten saw something in that music, and yeah, then it translated to a record deal with Act, and then, you know, things kind of fell into places. And this is what you cannot expect to have a full-on mapped out landscape. It's just like you have a booking agent that might lead to a record deal, you know, or you have a record deal that might lead to a booking stuff. And then it all really needs to be kind of convincing in a way that it's not trying to be something it's not. It needs to be something that's, you know, like, authentic is just the wrong word, but there has to be some originality to it. And this is kind of what an agent probably might not see. We have a very popular band in Germany called Wanda. They got kind of they got closed doors from every label and from many booking agents, and they're kind of the biggest selling band in Germany right now. And this can happen, you know. But at the end of the day, what we have to see something in this. And as a concert promoter, I just cannot tell you, yeah, this is it, and this is not going to happen. You know, this is you feel it, you see it, you talk to your colleagues, and they see it too, and then you go for it. But it's not something that you can just, yeah, I can tell you 5 points. If you fulfill those, we're going to sign you. It's just, you know, it's a very individual thing.
Let me just interrupt. So this, so I really like this answer, which is why I invited you. But what you see here is what I talked about in the beginning about our booking agent, he has his own pride, he has his own dignity about what he does. You say what's in it, and the answer could be, well, that's 15%, but no, that's not what's in it for a booking agent. What's in it is actually to discover something that's special, to actually be personally engaged in the band that you are hiring and booking. And so this is something that you need to consider when, while emailing the person that you're going to email, the booker that you're going to send your music to in an email or call up on the phone and so on. So I really, so thank you for that answer, because sometimes if you are in a country of no booking agents, you don't really see it this way, or it's not as clear.
Plus, and the most important point is, it's not that we instantly want to make money out of that. We just have to see so much in it that we are willing to invest, knowing that the first 3 or 4 tours will lose us money before we start to get into figures that are interesting. So this is kind of the thing that an agent has to see, you know, like he's got to be willing to work with the band, despite, you know, we all have our bosses and we have to explain why certain acts kind of will cost us money. And we just have to see a strategy, how to turn that loss into some winning situation for everybody. And this is probably why it's so important that we see something in it, because if we don't like the music and we don't see any commercial appeal in the long term, you know, then there's a million other bands around. That's probably why we don't need any derivatives of success stories, if you will. So it's a pretty crucial point.
Regarding the physical market, how is it between the CDs and vinyls? We're talking about the CDs that they are.
Yeah, like vinyls has been bigger. Like this is like the sales that are growing, but it's still, I think, from the 60s, it's still a niche, yeah. And of course, it works in different genres better than in others. But you can see that people are more and more up for buying vinyls again, and all the manufacturing companies have to, yeah, just like there are like ever need. I think now it's kind of 6 months just to make it new. Yeah. So it's not like it's the next big market just to release on vinyl. You still need the CD in Germany, definitely, but it's something also helps to build a profile, because then you have a full package of releases, and you can, if you know your audience and you know my audience will love to have vinyls, and definitely worth it just to do it.
Yeah, but I think in Scandinavia in general, vinyls is kind of becoming a thing that, at least in the small channels, that people want to have the vinyl more than they want to have the CD.
Yeah, but then again, this is probably the whole media attention to vinyl is because it's something that nobody ever expected to happen, like it happened, or happens right now. So this is it's a bit like a proportional thing on the market side. There's probably this is vinyl and this is the CD sales. But then again, because of the fact that vinyl is kind of having the renaissance, everybody's writing about it. So the perspective for the buyer is, oh, vinyl is the next big thing. Of course, it's a growing market, but then in relation to the whole market, it's still kind of super small. So you really have to, and it's super expensive, and you have to make sure that the pressing is good. And so, you know, there's a lot of more things. Whereas the CD, you just have the data on a thing, and it's kind of copied in like 2 days, and you have like 1,000 CDs ready. So this is not what's happening with vinyl. And I had the same thing with my band, because I insisted on doing vinyl, because every record I released has been available on vinyl. So, and small runs are pretty kind of, it's costly, and you just have to really see if this makes sense or not in general.
Also, when we talk about the physical market being 60%, it's mainly in relation to, then there's still CD stores in all the cities. Some of the stores also have in-store performances, and so there are things that can be done in terms of touring and getting the word out that your band exists and so forth. And then also it makes it important that there are that your band somehow, of course through a distribution company or something, has the ability to actually get the CD. I mean, if 2/3 of your audience is going to go and buy the CD afterwards, it's kind of nice that someone actually distributing the CD to that area where you're playing. It's also important for a booking agent and so forth. So that's the main reason why of mentioning that is just to say that this number is still that the physical market is still playing a role in Germany. yeah, in a different way from Denmark.
But it also decreased over the last years.
Yeah.
So it has been, maybe 5 years ago, it has been like 79% physical and 20% digital. Now it's 60 physical and 40. So also the Germans are getting more used to Spotify and all that stuff.
So it's almost actually the opposite here. That you have 20%
physical market.
Yeah, physical market. I don't sell a lot at my concerts, even though it's full house. But when I come home and see what have been sold in for example, iTunes, I see 1,000 downloads or something like that. It's really crazy actually. So.
Yeah, but this is kind of a main difference between Scandinavia and Germany still. So we're still like the last Gallic village in terms of actual physical sales. Of course, yes.
That's nice.
But nevertheless, the sales of merch are still important in a certain way, because if you won't make much money out of the show, if you play a door deal or something, and you sell a couple of CDs, this means like this is the fuel money you might get to the next city. So this is also a point that
just helps to calculate things when you're on the road. But otherwise, if it's just like you're playing 5 shows and it's just door deals and you don't have any merch with you, it's just like it could end up very bad for the pockets.
Do you have any other Danish acts on your roster? Do you have any Danish acts on your roster?
Actually, we are working for the Radar Post and Virgin Suicide, X8 by Tigers. We work with Cody. We working with Striving Vines. So those are Danish bands. Takolako, yeah.
Who is Carpath North with now? Because they're quite big in Germany.
They work with RSS. I think they work with Christoph Panke. And now I don't know. They left from Christoph. I'm not sure where they are now. So.
You don't have any Danish bands on your roster.
Our band, yeah, our agency. I'm thinking, yeah, it's mostly Swedish actually. Like Nils Landgren, we had Esbjörn Svensson, Victoria Tolstoy, Jakob Karlsson. There are
Those
many.
are all jazz names, right?
These are jazz names, yeah. But on the other hand, it's mostly like we have a lot of hip-hop bands from the US. We have a lot of indie bands from all over the world. The Dutch have been doing pretty good on the psychedelic market. We have a couple of Dutch bands, and this is probably what's also the thing. These bands are come fully kind of energized, and they all have the same focus. So these bands, when they play, it's not like you could tell the bass player is not into it. It's just really like they just come on stage as a band. And for an example, we have Reeperbahn Festival, and this year we had a partnership country that was Finland. For the first time ever, we had a partner country on the focus on Finland, and they showcased their whole music industry. And it's funny because that really was a big success for both sides. So even a small country can, with a proper kind of schooling and educating how to do it properly, can go places. And it's no coincidence that we just have the Netherlands for 2016. And this is what happens, when you have a certain kind of culture of bands understanding how the market works without kind of sacrificing their identity to succeed. Then good things come of it, and this is what's really helpful in having a common focus as a band. To kind of, this is what the Traveling Tribesman said. It's the thing. You can dream, but then you just have to see how to kind of make them happen. And even if the dream is big, and it's kind of unreachable, you can kind of develop some steps how to get closer to that. And even if your dream promoter still refuses to sign you, you just might end up with a person who much more gets the band and works much more in favor of the band. So it's kind of it's not like black and white. You just have so many steps you can go that there's no kind of common way. except for like what everybody wants to do, to play shows and sell stuff. Yeah, of course. But then there are many ways to get to a certain point where everybody's satisfied. And networking is still a very important part. So if you're an artist with no kind of relation to anybody, it is a very hard task. So it's very helpful to get access to a certain network. I remember when I just went to the first showcase festivals internationally, and you had this database, and you just put your name in. You just got kind of mails from everybody, and funnily enough, that got me kind of got my company like 3 or 4 bands, because I just got in contact with agents I never would have met by accident, and we just got on pretty well. We saw a couple of bands, and all of a sudden they were touring with us. So it is very important, still a people's thing. You just have to make relations without going on people's nerves, but you still it's important to have a certain access to a kind of network. And this is what Danish Vibes does. You know, for instance, we, as Carsten Janke, did the first Danish Vibes night. Then we got it over because we were not good at kind of staging showcase or kind of networking events. And so these guys from Pop Up took over, and they do it pretty good. And so all of a sudden, my company woke up again. And so the jazz bookers went to see what kind of talent is there. And this is kind of a big development, just from you know, like, yeah, we did that. And now somebody else does it. But now they're just, they want to make sure they don't miss something. And that's a very crucial development. That's kind of, my company is aware and goes there to kind of, oh, what kind of band is this? Yeah, okay, I have to see it. And you know, we have it on the radar, and that's pretty important. So it's something that's kind of actually made it onto the German market in lots of ways.
And when it comes to these, what Sören said before, that's like writing an email to some booking agent. I think we all get these kind of blind emails from some person just writing, here's my band, listen to it. It's, of course, we always try to listen to every music we get, but it helps a lot if it just comes from a network. Because, like, you know, a person from Denmark who is working for a PR agency you're working quite a lot with, and he's writing your mail, you have to listen to this band. So it helps to have a network, and just like to also to get in touch with other territories, and just like they can spread the word. So it's more helpful than just writing an email, hello, my name is blah blah, and I'm playing this band, please listen to my music.
Because in the age of over-information, filters are the key.
Yeah.
This is kind of the main thing for all kind of media, for all kind of networking or business relationships. It's all kind of, they act as a filter. Like from the outside flood, they just kind of extract the drops that are kind of probably important of interest, and you're more likely to listen if you know the person. It's what he said. It's really, it's like that. So if I just come back from a Danish Vibes showcase, for instance, say, yeah, you have a couple of bands, do you want to check them out? And I got the CDs from the bands because I got them because I wrote kind of some short German bios for them. And so I could spread them, and people would listen to them and decide, yeah, probably this is not for me, but I have another idea of where to go. It's not like a lost case. You might just end up, like I said, somewhere else, and it all might work out. Like of this group, they got to deal with Enya Records, kind of very renowned label in Germany for jazz. So this is, you know, it can always go to places and lead to from one thing to the other, even though it wasn't probably planned or expected. But if you do nothing, you won't get much out of it.
That works most times.
Yeah. Don't stay at home.
But that's also the good thing of Danish Vibes, and also the showcase, which is part of like the final end of it. That you have that one show where so many interesting and possible like new partners are there at this one night. If you just play a show in Hamburg or Berlin and try to invite people, it's not that easy just to get so many different delegates from different fields of the media just like in time to listen to your band.
So what kind of tours does Cody do in Germany? Or do they tour in Germany?
They did, yes. Like we did, like from trio to quartet shows. I think we never did the full band because it's too expensive.
What kind of venues do they play?
It differs.
I'm the manager of Cody. So
okay, yeah.
Last tour they did, I've been touring for a while there. Last tour was actually this concept called.
So far, it was like bedroom disco.
Yeah, bedroom disco.
Yeah, which was very, very interesting. It's basically, we don't know where the venue will be, but people sign up for
like they sign up for like a newsletter for this bedroom disco concerts, and then they get informed you're on the list, and they get, I think it's like they get the venue like on the day of the show, so it's kind of an experience. So people are aware it's a concert in which house or which place, so it's always something special.
Do house concert?
Sometimes house concerts, sometimes it's like
for like I think they did tour of them, it's like private, like commercial.
Right.
But still like PA system and so on. It was hugely popular. We actually, store deals, made a lot of money with them, and we sold it some merch. So I think it was like a better tour than just a venue tour.
it's more easy.
How many times have you been back to Germany since you started?
Since I've not worked with them that long, but this tour was back.
So you've done one tour in Germany so far.
They've done like prior to that they've done
A couple of tours. I think maybe this could have been the 5th or 4th tour in Germany, maybe.
And is there any kind of development as far as the size of venues with the amount of people who show up to the shows? So,
Like we just stopped working with Cody at some point, and they just left to another company. I think we had kind of momentum with Cody. Also, they had in Denmark. But of course, there's no. You can do your best and try to book new shows, but sometimes it's not in your hands just to decide if it's successful or not. I think there has been a development, and I think they've done very good with the bedroom disco. Just had to build the name again, and just had to play into the shows and really people really in front of your eyes are playing their music.
right.
But I think there is still like a long-term step, a long-term thing they have to focus on.
Have they been part of this thing?
No.
Do they have a strategy for Germany?
That's fine.
Yeah, development is a relative thing, if you will, Powella never made it in Germany, but then again, he plays like venues of 1,500 capacity. He won't get more people like that since 20 years, but then again, he will kind of consistently play venues that size, and he will fill it. So you just have to kind of see what kind of level the band is. If you're a jazz band and you dream of playing like Leisthalle Hamburg, which is like a 1,700 capacity, it might be kind of a bit aiming too high. But then again, you could, and on the other hand, which is very important, you could play like the Fat Jazz series in a very nice club called Golem. And there are, like for every genre, there are kind of certain things happening in each city that are kind of, you don't have normally access to unless you know the people or about this kind of things. And this is what the network part is important as well. But development is a thing that you cannot kind of plan. Sometimes when there's a big record label or there's an artist that has been doing well, and now there's a big record label jumping onto it and pumping quite a lot of money into it, then you kind of know that things are kind of on the verge of getting to a bigger scale. But then again, that might falter as a record is kind of, like the same thing, indie artists get a lot of money, people accuse him of selling out, and kind of the old fans go away, and the new fans just can't hold him, or he cannot hold the new fans for that long. It's very unpredictable. But then again, I think the development is to be to kind of consistently kind of having a certain level that doesn't probably drop like significantly.
If I can just interrupt again, then you could also say that it's one thing about emphasizing the collaboration and the personal relationship with the network is also like the things that Fane are talking about. If every one of us are trying to imagine, okay, I'm sitting at home, I have my internet connection, and now I'm going to figure out what is the important venue to play in Munich, what is it in Cologne, what is it in Berlin, what is it in Hamburg, and so on. And what kind of series do I want to be part of, the Fat Jazz series, or do I want to be part of some other series? I don't see how you would get any material composed if you had to gain all that knowledge on your own by yourself and then calling them up afterwards and trying to somehow get a spot on one of these venues. And so that is where the collaboration, because there are people already having this knowledge. So if you collaborate with them or make some kind of collaboration with them, then you're buying into all this knowledge. And what you have to do is, of course, to deliver a great show and to deliver also the focus and the vision of starting at one point and then building things up. Because I don't think anyone is. It's also the talk about maybe earlier, if you were successful and famous in England, then it might be that you would also become famous in Germany. And this is the thing that has kind of sort of stopped that Fran and Arne talked about earlier. And so it becomes more and more important with the personal relationship and collaboration, because there's just it's not enough time in the world that you can figure all this out by yourself. Maybe you can figure it out for everything north of Hamburg or something like that. But figuring it out for a market of 80 million people, that's going to be really, really hard. And so all of a sudden you'll spend time maybe applying for the festival where your audience is actually not going to be, or where you're not going to be selected. And then just because you don't know about the right festival for your band and so on, which is why collaboration can make you stronger, and why it is an important part of the Danish Vibes program, this whole collaboration thing. Yes. Any more questions?
I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you worked with Cody and Eggs Laid by Tigers. Those were the two that I know. But you don't work with any of them anymore?
We're still working for Exeter Tigers, so
Okay.
they'll be on tour again next May, and we did 2 albums for them, and I think 3 tours, so 3 tour periods in GSA territory.
How many albums does a band like Eggs Laid by Tigers sell in Germany per year? Or in total?
I don't have the numbers.
Would it be less than 200 or more than 500?
This is a difficult question. Like, of course, I think with Exeter Tigers, they didn't sell more than 200 per release, but like to have like an idea, it's like you can push PR, you can have like articles in every magazine. Sometimes, of course, it helps, but sometimes it didn't pay off in the end. So it's because like the band has to be on the road, and, like everything has to fit together and matches, and then sometimes like what Fran said, like with Wanda, like we did we did PR for Wanda, the band from Austria, like who are one of the biggest bands in Germany. And no one's at the beginning, just every booking agent said, no, I don't want to work with them, and we did, and just all of a sudden it just like exploded. So they're just selling more than 500 records now. So you never know.
Do you remember why you stopped working with Cody? Because they didn't sell enough, or just you lost interest?
I think with Cody, I think they just wanted to work within, like, I just did the booking for them, and I think they just wanted to explore a new agent, which is fair enough. So
I'm just curious.
yeah, of course, yeah. No, I love their music, so I still like them quite a lot. So, but sometimes it could also be interesting just to see what other companies doing. So it's a big market, and there are also very good other small agencies who are up for good music. So just and there was no bad words in between in the band or in pop up, so it was fine.
Did you meet them at the Spot Festival, both bands?
Not this year, but
I mean, is that where you met them first?
oh, pardon. Actually, I don't know. It's some years ago. I think maybe it was Spot, yeah.
So the case was this: that you liked their music, and you said, "I'll give it a chance
and
see what I can do." What did you?
And we were already in contact with Slow Shark. I think it was like with Jon, and so he was pushing the band to us, and was telling about it, and so we were getting interested in it.
Okay. So
does this relate to your own band? Excuse me for interrupting, but it has to kind of relate to your own band, or is it an interest in Cody, or?
No, just because those are the two that I know, so there's, I guess, some kind of perspective. I didn't
Okay.
know the other bands.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, we had some Danish bands, of course. We had Reptile Youth, and they moved on because the agent left the company. We had Mo, And I actually signed Mo in America at CMJ, and that's said to the booking agent. So tell Sarah to kind of that we're in, and that's what we did. The funny thing is, Mo left because Sony Germany decided not to put out a digital release, put out the release at all in Germany. It was just digitally, and that's the other thing. Because of that, she could easily have played like 450 capacities, and then again, for some reason, it just didn't happen enough for Sony to kind of put out a proper release. That was, and then the booker left the company. They always take the artists with them. Right. And yeah, but these are probably well-known examples of bands.
Is it typical for booking agents in Germany to kind of have like their specialty like in their own region, or within the jazz community? I've just met a few that just seem to kind of have ties just to their local area, but not much else. Is that very typical, or is that? No,
you just have local promoters that do kind of, they are linked to the area, of course, and then you have tour promoters, and we are both. I'm personally doing shows from like 150 capacities to stadium-sized shows. I did the Stones, I did Genesis. I also did kind of Reptile Youth shows, on a very small scale. So we just cover everything in our area, of course. But then again, we are a touring agency as well. We just put out a tour of The Cure, like on November 23rd, and sold 36,000 tickets in the first week. So we probably know our kind of nationwide market. Plus, you can also, if you get the right setup, you can easily tour Germany like for 4 weeks in a row, because there are so many opportunities. But that would require a really kind of booking agent who really knows all the little places, so that you don't have from like Munich to Hamburg and back and forth. So you just have like little steps and stuff like that. But so yeah, proper touring agent can provide you with that network, not only in their area. And they also know people in Germany, not only in Germany, but for Austria and Switzerland as well.
But there are a lot of regional promoters, right?
Yes, but
these are local promoters.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
That's a difference.
Take care of shows in their city or in their area. They're not connected to different cities.
Yeah, we do both. We just Carsten Janke, we have 50% of the repertoire festivals, and we do Über Jazz Festival, we do Way Back When Festival, and we do Elb Jazz Festival, and also we do local shows and tours. So we got a lot of staff in the company, and the young bookers who are on the international showcase festivals, of course, they have a profile, because that helps a lot. You know, we have a new guy called Silke. He's very inclined to this whole psychedelic scene, and so he even gets offers now from agents from kind of to book bands, because they think he's doing a good job. So he's kind of sharpening his profile, and he's just not doing everything all over the shop. He's kind of very focused on what he does, and that goes on for kind of the harder stuff, or even for jazz or for whatnot. We have a 3-person jazz team, and they do tours mainly, like from Gregory Porter to like what else we do. We did Herbie Hancock. Just every big name in jazz has been, and we use Landgren's mainstay for all the tours, and so there's a lot of things like internationally going on, because we do all for news, we do all the traveling for the whole band. You know, somebody lives up there and up there. We just kind of figure it all out to make them meet at a certain time in Leipzig.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you integrate with Nils, like as he books things like Jazz Baltica and other festivals and things like that? Do you integrate with him on those other levels as well, or is it just you're booking him in other places?
We're booking mostly him, but of course there's a network thing. If he just kind of assembles Jazz Baltica, there's something that kind of stands out, and he will kind of put on a recommendation. We're more likely to listen to it than if this recommendation would kind of contact us without any kind of protege from somebody else.
Any more questions? This is your chance.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
How many bands do you have on your booking agency?
How many?
Is it 100 or?
No, more.
Okay.
It's quite a lot because as the genres are so diverse, we just have really big kind of roster.
So you've got smaller departments, the jazz, the rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we even developed the German careers, to be honest, of Paul Weller since the beginning. And even those artists can leave. He just wanted to work with somebody else after 35 years, so that's fair enough.
Right.
The Cure are still with us. Peter Gabriel is with us. There are many big names like Depeche Mode did their first steps on German soil with us. Erasure, Yazoo, like I said, the Jam, the Cure, the House Martins, you name it. The history of the company is like over 50 years in the business, so there's quite, the roster is pretty impressive. Nevertheless, we're still independently working. We are not linked to any ticket chain or whatnot. We just do it on our own.
Do you usually, let's say you started working with somebody from this program, would you put them on tour with one of your bigger acts?
Depends. It really depends because mostly this is not in our hands because the bigger acts are kind of working with, let's say for the Cure, they work with their agent in the UK who kind of is linked to us.
Right.
So they have, of course, they have interests. Like for the Cure, it's going to be the Twilight Set. They're going to have with them as a European-wide support. So this is we can make kind of recommendations or kind of give ideas. What we would like would be great. And sometimes when it's very common in metal probably. Then you have kind of like this little festivals, kind of decoded as one show, but you have like 4 support bands. This is what happens in these places. But normally, it really depends. If it's a smaller scale and it fits, it could work. But it's not like it's not granted. Put it this way. Of course, it's an ideal world. If we could do that, it would be great. But sometimes, there are other interests on the outside from the UK agent or the international agency or whatnot, the label.
I have a question about, is there a German market in churches?
What happens is they're not like the sacred places anymore that they have been, where you couldn't play music. We even have a cultural church in Altona, which is like close to the city center, where concerts are happening. We have for the Niels Landgren Christmas shows, they have been held in churches mainly. But it's not a special scene because it's not they're not venues as such. You can have connections and you can get stuff happening, but it's not that there's no church scene.
No church tour.
No church tour, unless for Norwegian black metal bands, then it's a different thing. They can do that.
But aren't there churches that have like concert series? Like there was one in Kurt, Dr. Carlson played one last year.
There are, of course, they do have, but it's mainly probably like the from local stuff from around the area, and then you can of course book things into that. Like in Berlin, there's a popular church that regularly does concerts, but it's not that you can do like a 4-week tour of Germany churches.
No, but it wouldn't be an anchor date, but it could also be one of those things that you could connect with a few of those other little series at those things that can connect you from town to town.
Yes, that might be
and fill in some gaps.
Yeah. Before and after they play at church.
Play Sunday afternoon.
Drink the sacred water. There are kind of places, but it's not like all over Germany. There are certain places, but too many.
That was a little bit of the German market. Any questions related directly to your own situation or your own, how can you say, anything specific related to you or your band? Yes?
Do you support like one man on the piano playing? Do you support one man things?
In Danish Vibes or?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're selected, then you're selected. Then yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's up to the jury. Yeah.
And is there a different stuff? You have jazz, classical, communism kind of stuff, and like playing my own songs, which is fun stuff. Is there any? That sometimes is not. That's a blessing and a curse sometimes because it's not always the same audience. But how do you look on that? Both the Danish Vibes, but also with it should be interesting to some of the 2018.
Mm. I mean, from Danish Vibes, it would be we're interested in the strategy and making a strong strategy and something you could focus on. Probably be asked how the things are going to fit together, or maybe have a main focus point that looks at the. Okay, so if you have 20 minutes at the most important showcase that year for you as an artist, then what are you going to focus on? And we had bands that played with or without a choir, and that became kind of the thing that this choir thing, would they promote that, or would they promote themselves just as a band? And they ended up deciding that as a band they already had the German network, so they went for the choir thing. And then we worked out a strategy based on how would you book this band together with a huge choir, classical. So that was very interesting. So they made a choice. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Of course, it's like that. But I was wondering about German things here. What do you think about that when an artist has different sides, different genres going on?
Yeah. I think, of course, it's interesting, but if you want to create a profile and like you have a vision of an artist, and it's if like these differences in your music is not like this and that, so it's something like this, then it, of course it could work. But from my point of view, I think it's easier just like to focus on one field of genre or one thing which to promote and which to work with. It's much easier to tell other people than here's a guy who's playing metal, indie, and jazz at the same time, or just like one song is. Yeah, of course not that, but just like two.
I mean, it worked for Niels Landgren, for instance.
Yeah, that's actually.
It worked for him, but he started out with Esbjørn Svensson, and he gained some momentum when he played Swedish folk modern, and that kind of put him on the map. And then he just developed as an artist, and later on he just brought on the funk unit as well, singing stuff, and then he did his church concerts and whatnot, and it works because people like him. So he just basically, it's basically because the man with the red trombone. That's kind of the selling point. Okay. So he kind of established himself, and so he can kind of do anything, and people will be interested. But it wasn't like that from the beginning. So we just had to kind of focus on one thing that kind of seemed to kind of put all his strengths into one place. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, well, he was actually the artist I was thinking about. But do you see it as a strong point that you think there's something to build on? We can develop stuff later on when we get the.
It really depends.
On the map, or?
There's no general rule, you know. If people.
It was just what's your opinion?
It can work, yeah. But funny thing is, if you think of the Refused, for instance, they came back from the dead, and we've been touring with International Noise Conspiracy, and I've been talking to an agent, like, what do you think will International Noise Conspiracy come back? And he's just said, yeah, well, Dennis has to get kind of used to the point that people want to see him in Refused. And I think it's probably, you cannot kind of predict what the audience will kind of associate, or what kind of musical style the audience will associate you with. It's very, you know, all I'm saying is if you kind of overwhelm them with kind of a variety of styles, then you just probably might not bother at all, because it's kind of, what's that, you know? And it's kind of very hard to decipher, is he more funk or is he more whatnot? It's just, you know, you have to kind of make sure that there's probably every artist has kind of a setting that kind of sums up most of the parts and brings out the best and kind of stands for the whole thing without kind of being too much all over the shop. And I guess
what I said, Niels started out as a jazz trombonist, and then he brought on the funk project, and then the other project and whatnot. And he just kind of he established himself first, and then he kind of spread it, and that worked for him, but it doesn't necessarily work for everybody else. So.
Anything else? We still have time for a couple of more questions. We had some. I think we had some good questions so far. So, are there anything you could think of that we still need to hear an answer about in relation to the German market?
Who's been part of this program in the past 3 years?
Who's been part of this program?
Girls in Airports. Girls in Airports. So the first year was Takulaco, Girls in Airports, and
Klaus Weidlev.
Klaus Weidlev, yeah. Avengin, Vicky. Like this year was like Lukiv, Traveling Tribes. Zoran Bebe. Off-Piste Group, of course, yeah. Yeah, that was this year's edition. Like last year was Avengin, Iki. Yeah, and the Norwegian singer.
Liebe.
Liebe from Fries, yeah.
Do you still follow those bands? Are they working in Germany now? Do you know if are they touring on a regular basis in Germany?
They're not touring. I mean, depends on. It's all about your starting point, and it's all about your strategy, what you were trying to get. So it's not. You cannot really say after a year that you're touring regularly on a. I'm definitely not going to guarantee anything like that, because it depends on your starting point. So if you have your CD is out on Gateway, it's not distributed outside Denmark, but you consider yourself a worldwide artist because you are on iTunes, something like that. That's a very low starting point for the German market. For a booking agent to say that they can recommend your stuff to a venue, to the local record shop, things like that, it's really, really hard. It's hard for that record shop to actually get your physical CD into the store if you're not distributed in that country outside. So that's just about your starting point.
Right.
So, and then we had, Fenton was already touring Germany.
Right.
That's another starting point. So then it's a matter of then you have are they touring more festivals now? That would be your question. Are they touring more festivals now than before? With Traveling Tribes, they wanted a booking agent. They have one now, but now we have to see for the next 2 or 3 years what is going to happen. For Takulago, they really wanted a publicist. They got a pop-up, and then they changed the structure of the band, the personnel of the band, and then they have their new CD out this year, which is going to be the CD that a publicist can work with.
Right.
So in this way, there's always many years. Girls in Airports, they wanted a booking agent. They had a meeting with 3 different booking agents right after the showcase, which I think is pretty fast. I think also it's pretty fast with the traveling. Liebe wanted a booking agent, and so she found one, and I talked to her yesterday, so now she might be switching to another one. And this is also so it can be many, many different things. It can also be getting a foot in the door to a door that you can now open and then see what happens. And you might switch around. You might not get the right person right away. You might have the right strategy. You might also have a strategy that's sort of, I'm going to do more like this. It makes my music or my artistic expression stronger if I go this way about it, or applying to these festivals or something like that. So it's a constant learning and developing experience, of course. So it's kind of hard to say like one thing, but I think if there's one thing that the Danish Vibe provide that I can say, okay, we definitely provide this, then it's what happens if the whole band is focusing on one plan and you all agree this is the plan we're going to follow. Then I can kind of guarantee something will happen, right? But I can't say this is going to happen, or it doesn't matter to someone in Germany that you're playing 200 shows in Denmark a year if your music is not relevant to a German audience, of course, which is yeah, it's logical when I say it, but it's not always logical when you sit at home thinking about, hey, maybe, so maybe they'll like this everywhere since they like it in Denmark. But it's always individual, and it's always about the strategy. It's about your, of course, your ability to make a personal connection, also a very important aspect. And so we're kind of just providing all these beginning things, all this. Try talk to these people about this and that. Try setting up a dinner with this person. Whatever. When we see your strategy, we try to help you with your strategy. Danish Vibes is also someone else pointing at you saying this guy is good, which can also be quite important. So you don't have to always do it yourself. And then so you have these kind of things where things then all of a sudden the booking agent will be, okay, this guy just got selected by a German jury, so maybe there's something about this artist that let me just take another look, or you get an agreement with Enya Records, then maybe German newspaper will be like, when they receive the CD, instead of the CD saying Gateway, instead of the CD saying Stunt or whatever, all of a sudden it says like a local German label, and then it might be actually that they open the envelope and write the review. So there are many things, but it's not coming directly from Danish Vibes. I think that would be taking too much of the honor of things. So it's coming directly from the bands. It's just Danish Vibes are just kind of pointing towards things and can be helpful in pointing or in mentioning things to the right people, or in paying some money to help with something, or setting up a dinner with or pointing towards book. I mean, you might want to be like, okay, I want to. My strategy is I want to be on Carsten Janke's booking when this year is over, but it's a really difficult thing. You have to be a really special artist, and also you have to be signed to the right label, and there's a lot of things that sort of needs to play together in order and come together in a way that makes it possible that you are becoming an artist signed by Carsten Janke. So then there might be a road there taking you maybe towards other labels, other booking agencies, and so on. And you might walk around, you might be in a room with 100 people, and there's 30 booking agents there, but you only want to talk to Carsten Janke. So you're missing out on 29 booking agents. Maybe that booking agent could be the person getting you to the label that eventually would get you to Carsten Janke, if you understand what I mean. So in this way, Danish Vibes can also be helpful to just be, why don't you try to talk to this guy? You never heard the name before, you never so on, but we have seen that they can actually do things with some of our other artists. So in that way, it just, I feel like Danish Vibes is making your engine a little bigger, maybe adding a little turbo to your engine. And that's kind of the concept. But we cannot do it alone. We're not gonna just, we cannot give things. It's all still coming from you, but it might be a little faster and a little stronger. Yes?
Regarding Danish Vibes, how do you see applying more as a soloist than as a specific band?
Yeah. How do I look at it?
Is it possible, is it best that you have like this specific setting, or do you more like as an artist, like different projects?
You mean with all your different projects? I would select one, yeah, kind of, yeah. I think I would select one. But then you have, if you're one artist, you have 3 different bands, and I would apply with each band. Does that make sense as an answer? Yeah. More than I would be like, okay, I'm a composer and I compose for this ensemble, that ensemble. That would be, that's probably not gonna work out. Really. So yeah, then I would rather have each ensemble apply.
But I guess one thing is also that I would be very much the band leader of the project, so it would probably not be all of the people in my trio, for instance, that participate in all the meetings. It would probably be me who have responsibility somehow.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
my project.
That's possible. Of course, that's possible that you're kind of the main strategist of your own band, and but your band members will have to support you then, because so we will have the connection, and but it's important for the booking agent to know that the other guys are actually supporting you and want to take part in your project, and kind of share your dream as well. I think that's quite important. But we can still have the connection, but you need to inform the other guys, and also the band that is selected is also the band performing at the showcase. So if Prince is the bass player of your band, then you just have to figure out how to bring Prince to the showcase. Because yeah, no, but I you could say I'm mainly saying that to jazz artists. It's normal to have some foreign soloist in front of your group. It would be kind of awkward to be Danish Vibes with some American headliner. But anyway, if it happens, then you have to figure out, how do I bring this American headliner to play for 20 minutes in Hamburg? Right. You have to work that out. We're not going to work it out.
To calm your nerves, Michael Baker, the guy who does the whole Cutie Mangoes, he's got a trio with Steve Gadd. And I think people are flashing more towards the Cutie Mangoes than to this trio, probably. What the experience was in my company. They're like, yeah, this is good, but yeah, this is more like what we want to, you know. And there will be talks about in my company about the Cutie Mangoes later. So let's see what happens.
I'll quote Cutie Mangoes is also sitting right now.
We might see each other again.
But I can once again, but so I'll quote Janke again, and then just say like his opinion was like, okay, so if you have a Danish group with an American headliner, then I can easily sell more tickets by having a German group with the same American headliner. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. You kind of have to put yourself in the center of the band, more or less. Also because, as Fren said, Denmark is viewed as something, or Scandinavia or Nordic culture and so on, is viewed as something exclusive and exotic by the German population.
Yeah, not exotic. It's more like it's like the Germans like the Scandinavian style. It's like this kind of this sparseness, and this it correlates a lot to this whole Bauhaus movement. You know, you just have like certain things that look right from every angle, and yeah, probably this is what gets this whole thing going. Like I said to the Cutie Mangoes, you can even swear at them and kind of say bad things to the German audience, and you have broken German, and you will still go like, "Oh, this is so cute."
That's my bad German.
Yes. Okay. With that, thank you so much for coming. I hope to see all your applications on December 14th. If you have any questions that we didn't answer so far, you're always welcome to email me or email Danish Vibes, or send us a message through Facebook or whatever you can think of. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Concerning our submission materials,
yes.
What should we be assembling so we're ready to upload?
You should be assembling audio files, live video clips, bio.
Is there a link?
Is there a link? Not really, no.
Just a YouTube link.
Yeah, YouTube link, yeah. And a bio, press photo. It's more or less equivalent of assembling a press pack, a regular press package. And then there will be some motivational kind of, you have to write something about what's your motivation. Why is Germany interesting for your band? That's about it, yeah. All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
See you guys.